Here's another question from a listener. This kind of speaks to what we're talking about right now. At IW Mango, thanks for writing in. It writes, what are your opinions on the hashtag 8 can't wait policies, considering the history of the police? Is such policy just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, so to speak? And I'm just looking at their website now. 8 can't wait. There are, according to this website, 8 policies that could decrease police violence by 72%. Some of those things are ban chokeholds and strangleholds, require de-escalation, require warning before shooting, exhaust all other means before shooting, and 4 others as well. So let me put that question to you, Eric Smaw. Are you familiar with this push and some of the policies therein?
Yes, I am. And I think that there are 2 types of changes we can make. Some of the changes are bold, and some of the changes are standard. So I'll start with the bold changes because I want to get those in. So, look, in 1967, the Supreme Court passed a doctrine called qualified immunity. Basically, what that means is that a police officer can be held liable for abusing you only if there is clearly established law against that abuse at the time in which it occurs. What this means is that if I get brutalized by a police officer, I have to look back into history to find a case with similar circumstances in which a police officer was prosecuted. Well, we can see that there are going to be 2 problems here. First, in the 1960s, police officers were not being prosecuted for brutalizing African Americans, so we're not going to have those cases established. But even if I can find a case, all a judge has to say is, well, the circumstances aren't similar. And though I recognize that your constitutional rights were violated, because I cannot meet the Supreme Court standard of clearly established law, you lose. And this, of course, has allowed police officers to act with impunity. So what can we do? The first thing all of us must do is write all of our congressmen and men and women and tell them to abolish qualified immunity, because it allows police officers to act with impunity. And then we need to establish a necessary standard. The necessary standard tells us some of the things that the people at Hate Can't Wait want. First, police officers must exhaust other remedies before they can act with violence. So no chokeholds, they have to look to de-escalate, and so on. A second thing that we could do is require a broad reading of the Fourth Amendment. Because the Supreme Court has so restricted the Fourth Amendment, that's also given police officers impunity to do what they will with us, and the Fourth Amendment can't protect us. So we need a broad reading of the Fourth Amendment. Those 2 things will take us a long way, in addition to things like banning chokeholds. So those are the broad changes I would argue for.
Yeah, and just to refresh the memory of our listeners and myself too, to be honest, the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated. In the last minute or so, and I'm afraid we're kind of running out of time here, but Dr. Eric Smaw, where do you see this conversation heading in the next month or so?
It's difficult to tell exactly where it'll go because there are so many things going on at one time. So we have the protests going on, we have high rates of unemployment, and we also have COVID-19 still ongoing.
Right.
One thing that's true is that we don't have national leadership on this issue. So what I hope is that we'll have national leadership. I think that every single American can get out and vote at the national level, at the state level, and at local levels. And we can also require that our colleges and universities, our middle schools, elementary schools, and high schools teach American history that encompasses all people in America, and teach it openly and teach it honestly. Finally, the thing that I would add is that we can understand our protests for what they really are. They're cries out from the people for justice. And so while I don't expect my protesters to be perfect, I do expect their causes to be just. And if we can celebrate the justice in the civil rights movement, we can celebrate the justice now.